You are watching PowerNation. Today on Detroit Muscle, we square off against rust, dust, and Mother Nature.
Got it.
We find a few hidden surprises as we continue to work on our 56 Chevy. Here's our first patch panel.
Oh boy. We dig in and get our hands dirty, removing the malignant metal from Project Shell Shock to make this Bodacious Bowtie rust-free and ready for paint.
Yeah, that's why the nickname for rust is cancer.
This might be the most solid Tri-5 Chevy I've ever seen in my entire life. This is our 1956 Chevrolet 210 sedan that we have dubbed as Project Shell Shock. The quarter panels, rockers, doors, and even the fenders are super solid. However, we do got a little bit of rust that we need to address, so we're gonna do a little hands-on work, see what we can do about cleaning up all that rust and get this thing ready for paint. With this car, we're not doing like a full-blown restoration. We mostly want to just get it ripped down the track as soon as possible. So to do any kind of sandblasting or chemical dipping, we'd have to pull all the trim, all the interior, all the glass. Literally every nut, bolt, and screw would have to come out of this thing. It's cleaning up pretty good too. So we're just gonna do a quick scuff and shoot, get some of this grease off the firewall, lay down the P.O.R 15, and just kind of spruce it up a bit. It's like somebody's done a little bit of a rattle can overhaul on this firewall already at some point.
All right, guys, we got the 56 in the booth. Got it all prepped and ready. We're gonna apply some P.O.R 15 engine enamel. We're gonna paint the firewall with this. A lot of high temperatures and heat are generated under there. While we're at it, we're gonna go ahead and do the trunk floor so we don't have to mix multiple products. Remember, it's recommended while using this, do not reduce any more than 10% per can. Normal mid-temp reducer is what we're using. Make sure anytime you start to mix paint, guys, you stir it thoroughly. Make sure that it mixes together completely. We're looking for the consistency of milk, guys, so it'll flow through the gun and apply evenly. Think we're good to go. Don't forget to strain it before you put it in your gun.
Now overall, the paint on our firewall and our trunk pan, we're actually still in pretty good shape after 70 years. But this is one of those easy jobs where if you just spend a couple hours, it can really elevate the build and clean up your engine bay.
All right, so as you know, we're putting the P.O.R 15 on our vehicle out here. For this application, we chose to spray it on instead of brushing or rolling, which you can do with their product. I'm using the HVLP gravity feed gun, so about 10 to 15 PSI worth of air pressure coming out of the cap. A little goes a long way, guys, with this material, but I chose that we're gonna put 2 coats to make sure everything's even and laid out.
Now, this old car is definitely in pretty good shape, but it does have a little bit of a primitive repair on the passenger side floorboard. Looks like the previous owner used galvanized steel and maybe roofing tar to keep it all together, which would be fine for a Sunday cruiser, but for the amount of horsepower we're gonna put in this thing, floorboards need to be solid.
Oh man, oh man.
Well, for 70 years old, it appears the floorboards on our old 56 Chevy are actually in pretty good shape. Although we do have a few issues here that we need to address. But since we need 2 patch panels and we got 2 guys, me and Brian are gonna divide and conquer. Cool, let's just glue them in, call it good.
Perfect. Just get out the 2-part epoxy. You coming all the way to the bottom of the hump?
Yeah, mine's not that bad, really. The majority of my bad stuff's like
in this section.
Yeah, this one's in the corner here.
I'm still blown away at how good a shape these floors are in general, though. If we were just building like a Sunday cruiser, they'd be fine.
Yeah, we'd be done.
Common mistake a lot of people make when they're doing this kind of repair is that they will cut too much out of the car. Now, ideally, you don't want to cut the car to match the new panel. You want to cut the new panel to match the car. And ideally, you want to cut about an inch or so past the corrosion point. That way, you know you're welding good metal to good metal. That was fun.
Coming up, we hang 10 as we install some new floor pans in our 56 Chevy.
All right, looks like our panel is cut about where we want it to be. But now the next step is to make sure that this new panel is sitting nice and flush with the old panel so that we got a good outline for how much we need to cut out. And to do that, we got a Summit Tech tip for you. Now basically what I'm doing here is I'm drilling some holes because we're getting ready to use what are called Clecos. And each time I put one of these in, it's sandwiching the new panel and the old panel so close together that you've got a good outline for how much you need to cut out. And then when you go to weld in your seams, it's nice, seamless, nice and clean.
I wanted to explain what a Cleco is a little bit more in depth. It is basically a reusable rivet, guys. It has a center piece of spring steel in the middle and two exterior pieces. When you depress the plunger, it spreads the tips out, but they come to a point at the end. When they draw back in, then it tightens it up in the hole to hold two pieces of metal together at the same time. So super fast, quick, easy, and very efficient for the job.
And as I'm doing this, I'm kind of feeling around the panel for loose spots. You can kind of feel that part's got a little bit of a pop can effect to it. So you just got to go through, start in the middle, work your way out to the edges until everything's nice and tight. Oh yeah, much better. It's a nice tight fit, panel on panel action. Now this is one of those times where having the right tool for the right job can really save you some time and energy. And all this can be found at a one-stop shop at Summit Racing. A plasma cutter is by far one of the most efficient methods for cutting out old sheet metal. However, it is one of those things that it's easy to use, but easy to screw up. You always want to double check and make sure that you're not cutting through any floor braces or any structural components. All right, looks like this thing's sitting in here nice and flush. Got a little bit of cleanup work to do on the edges, as well as maybe a little bit of hammer and dolly work, but it's all part of the process, but I'm really liking how it's fitting, so let's get this stuff welded in here.
Man, all that tar over here.
All right, one more time, round the horn, I guess.
Fitting good?
I'm gonna have to trim a little bit, but as you know, the more you weld it, the more it wants to
Distort and warp, right?
mess with you a little bit. But how's yours looking?
Good.
Anytime you're welding on sheet metal, it's gonna distort. There's no getting around it. But the key is to control the heat. And as we're doing this, me and Brian keep an air blower by our side to kind of help control the heat as we weld. And that's gonna do a couple things. One, it's gonna help with the fitment. And two, when you're welding on floorboards, you have a tendency to have rubber insulation and all kinds of stuff underneath the car that's gonna easily catch fire. But if you maintain and control that heat, it's gonna keep that stuff from catching on fire and causing any kind of hazard. And this process of welding, cooling, trimming, welding, cooling, trimming, it takes a little bit longer, but the end product speaks for itself. Coming up, it's not a beach day, but there's plenty of sand.
All right, so originally we hadn't planned on painting the entire vehicle at all. We were actually just gonna touch up the white and touch up the teal both. But upon further inspection, the paint was just flaking off as it's a lacquer-based paint. There was a major adhesion problem and nowhere to feather back to. So we had to strip it to bare metal to start all over. Now, if you're like me, guys, I've 20 plus years in the collision business. Time is money and efficiency. So we don't have to go everywhere looking for trash cans or places to dispose of our sandpaper. If you're from the old school, have a stick it back pad using stick it paper. It's a good idea to take the paper when you're done, squish it together, and I just throw them in the floor. That way I'm not wasting time. I don't spend my whole day sanding. I'm gonna have to sweep the floor to get the dust and stuff up anyway. You don't have to worry about it sticking to the floor or your boot. Saves time and efficient.
What's up, player? Now Brian's in there applying what is known as a DTM epoxy primer, or direct to metal. Now we're a big proponent of this stuff because, for one, it's tough. This is literally the same stuff that they use on like bridges and railways. And also it's gonna help seal out moisture on all of our bare metal spots and keep that old lacquer paint from lifting. Once the epoxy is cured, we'll go ahead and wipe it down one more time, and then we'll lay down our polyester high build primer. And this stuff is really great for filling in like small imperfections or waves in the metal. We've already gotten lucky with this car being pretty cherry, so it really won't take much to get this thing ready for paint.
All right, so as you know, guys, we used some high build primer on this vehicle. We started out with a super straight vehicle to begin with, so we wanted something quick and easy to get the minor imperfections out. We also went with the one with built-in guide code. So as you know, as a body person or a painter, block sanding takes a lot of your day. So this has built-in guide code in it. We did not choose to prime it pink, but that's the way it comes out. As you block it down, The area becomes flat, then it turns gray. So that way you know everything is smooth and a level surface from then on. When we're spraying this high build primer, guys, it actually recommends a 2.0 or larger fluid tip size. While we're applying this, you'll notice that I've been using a siphon feed gun. Kind of went back to my roots and where I started from, okay? Siphon feed gun tends to have a larger fluid nozzle and tip for application of thicker materials. The 2K primer that we're gonna put on after this, I'll be using a gravity feed gun, a 1.4 tip or somewhere like that. Siphon feed gun, everything is pulled up through a tube out of the base of the gun, okay? This is old technology, if you will, having a tube that draws the material up versus a gravity feed gun where the material's on the top. These guns were not known for balance. Matter of fact, it was known to cause a lot of problems in your elbow because of the lack of balance of the gun. However, makes our job a lot more efficient. Up next, whoa! We find a Stinger.
Got it.
But it's not a Kia. No, you didn't. You just pissed it off. Look at it.
You know what's awesome? Custom candy paint on a Tri-5 Chevy. You know what's not awesome? Sanding your life away. For as straight as this old car is, we kind of ran into a little bit of an issue on the passenger side door. This appears to be some old damage, maybe scraped across a pole or a parked car or something like that. So we got to fix that. Unfortunately, we can't use the DA on that side. That's one of those situations where we need to do a little bit of body and filler work. But for what it is, it's fairly easy repair, and this thing painted before we know it.
Wow, man. Whoa, look at that. A wasp, a hornet.
Got it.
No, you didn't. You just pissed it off. Look at it.
He's in my shirt. He's in my shirt.
I got it. All right, I know what you're thinking right off the bat, guys. Why are they using the DA on a vehicle that they're trying to sand flat, if you will? So let's talk about that. Super straight substrate to begin with. We put the high build primer on it. We use the extremely soft face pad on the DA as well. If you had heavy body work, if you applied a lot of filler in areas, things like that, if you had major imperfections, guys, then naturally you would need to block it first, okay? But we chose to go the different route with a straight substrate that we already have. We want to DA it to get it to paint as quick as possible. High build polyurethane primer. Now, a couple of things you need to know: it is porous, so we have to top coat it before it is able to be painted or put in the booth. Sealer cannot be applied directly to polyurethane primer. So we've block sanded, DA'd everything with 180. It's ready for 2K. We're gonna put some of that on it. We'll spray some guide coat over top. It's ready for wet sand and top coats from there. Won't be long, it'll be ready for paint.
You know, doing paint and body work is going to be one of the most monotonous tasks you do on your entire build. But it is one of those things where you need to trust the process. You'll be priming, sanding over and over again, and you're just adding more and more layers, and it's going to feel like you're not getting anywhere, but it's all important. And I've worked in a few hot rod shops in the past, and there is something about taking that extra bit of time to make sure that you're putting out a quality product. And one thing my old man used to tell me is that what you put into life is what you're going to get out of it. Brian and I have already put a lot of time and sanding into this car, and I can already tell you that by the time this thing is done, it's going to be one of the most iconic gassers you've ever seen. I don't think Chevrolet wanted that coming off, did they?
No, boy. Not at all. Now we've gotten our old 56 Chevy looking like a whole different vehicle. And go.
Come on, baby.
We've given her a facelift, busted loose some rusty bolts. I'll go, being stubborn.
Had to get angry with it.
And even had to do a little bit of invasive surgery to remove 70 years of crud and corrosion in order to separate the body from the frame.
All right, big guy, you want to do the honors?
Going up.
All the way to the top. We also pulled all the interior and were pleasantly surprised. Yeah, we got enough air fresheners in here to last us a couple winters, really. However, we did find a couple of small problems. Oh boy. But with some elbow grease and a little sweat from our brow, we've got this car sanded flat, ready for paint to get it one step closer to its new lease on life.